So your boy's supposed to be shaving his head right now, but I do what I do best and procrastinate, right? So as I'm procrastinating, I come across this update from the homie Joe Ziggy, right? And he let us know pretty much that the sponsored March experimental queue was supposed to be over, right? But they're going to actually extend it for another week until they figure out what the heck they want to do, right? So if I'm to read everything verbatim, he said, thank you to everyone who has been participating in the sponsored March queue. A lot of you have been participating, and we've been learning a lot from watching you all play and listening to the feedback around the queue. As for the next steps, we're still finalizing what to do for our next experiment, so we'll be keeping sponsored Dire March on for at least another week, which is 4/29 through the 6th of May. Thanks again for playing, and keep the feedback coming. And it seems like majority of the sentiment is like, yeah, W, like that's awesome. You know, we got some people like Fallout, and we'll talk about Fallout a little bit more here shortly, saying like sponsored outpost, do it. And I'm like in agreement. I'm good with the sponsored outpost or sponsored cryo. I think I made a video about possibly doing sponsored cryo. We got people dropping art, all this stuff, right? So the consensus is people are like, hey, look, let's do it. Like, why not, right? Why not? And then people are suggesting, hey, look, what we should do next is, again, homie right here said sponsored cryo, Fallout said sponsored outpost, so on and so forth, right? So this was made, and this was quote tweeted by Invicta. Invicta, I want to say, is a D2 creator or former D2 creator. And the only reason why I say that is because their ad name is Invicta_D2, right? So Invicta says the number of comments on this celebrating or begging for the sponsor kit queue to be permanent is highly concerning. Do people really prefer playing a worse BR, or is the average person's gear fear just that crippling? I really don't understand what's the appeal here. And before I jump into some of the comments here on this thread, my guy Fallout actually went ahead and quote tweeted Invictus tweet, right? And Fallout said, personal answer, it will probably be in Marathon's best interest to get more active players. Playing nothing but sponsored kit lobbies certainly isn't a way I'd want to play 24/7. Would much rather kill kitted teams and take their gear. Same here. But it's looking like a solid way to get more casuals to give it a go, as they know they'll be on even footing, and it's low stakes PvP. I had a mod play Marathon for the first time today, and she seemed a little bit nervous about jumping in. But sponsored Marsh was a great starting ground, kind of like the Bunny Hill for beginner skiers, a place for players to figure things out and build their confidence a bit more before raising the stakes by jumping into other maps/game types. And this was something I didn't quite think about, because when I was going down this rabbit hole, again, procrastinating, shaving my giant noggin, I was with the sentiment of Invicta. I was like, yo, this is kind of crazy that people are like legit. And if you go through that thread, you'll see majority of the sentiment is like, yo, like, let's do it. Let's keep running it. Let's keep doing the sponsor joints, right? And I think having it is good. Don't get me wrong. Like, don't get it twisted at all. But I just didn't think people valued it to that degree, right? Because I kind of looked at it a bit like, if somebody gets on solely for the sake of playing sponsored kit, sponsored Dire Marsh, then you're just playing a funky BR, right? You would be better off going to go play Apex or something, you know what I'm saying? So I kind of felt that same sentiment. But again, what Fallout mentioned here, I was like, it got some wheels turning in my mind, and I was like, oh, you know what? That's actually a really good point, right? There are people that are deathly afraid of extraction shooters, right? And people don't want to admit that. Like, let's keep it all the way a buck. People don't want to admit that. Like, a great example, one of my close friends, he's not like a serious gamer. He's a super casual gamer. He's the guy that may play Call of Duty every once in a blue moon. You know what I mean? Like, mostly play some sports games and stuff. And I was telling him, because obviously I covered Marathon in some capacity, and I was telling him about the game, what the gameplay loop was. And as I was explaining it to him, he was like, oh, that sounds dope. But when I said, man, when you die, you lose everything you went in with, he was like, what do you mean? I was like, well, when you die in the rage, you lose everything, like all the guns and your armor and everything that you came in with is gone. And he was like, oh, for real? Like, how do I get it back? I'm like, you don't get it back. Well, you can get it back, but you know, and here are the ways you can get it back. You can go in and kill somebody else and take their loot, right? But that exact piece of equipment that you had, you'll never get it back, right? You just got to find it again out in the wild, or, you know, barter or purchase or whatever. He was like, you could tell he was like, oh snap, like I don't really know how to feel about that. So if this sponsored queue is something that could get players like him to want to like get their feet wet, and once they understand the gameplay loop and see it isn't as scary as one may seem, or as it seems on paper, then they'll start to spread their wings and, you know, want to try out some of the gear that they actually acquired through the sponsored runs. Maybe they got some real good stuff and they want to like jump into the big kids pool, for lack of a better term, right? So that was an interesting scenario that like I was like, dang man, it like sometimes we get stuck in our own bubble. And by we, I mean gamers, content creators, whatever. Sometimes we can get stuck in our own bubble, so much so that we don't realize that we are the minority. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love Marathon. I enjoy the loop. I enjoy extraction shooters, but I am far and few between. Most people don't even know what an extraction shooter is. Like, people play Arc Raiders and don't even know that like that Arc Raiders is considered like an extraction shooter, or I think they called it an extraction adventure, right? So people don't even know what that is. They just know they're playing a game. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I forget that, you know, sometimes I forget that. But kind of getting back to this tweet here, right? So Fallout went ahead and dropped this. If you read some of the responses here to what he said, like you got some people trolling. I don't really care too much about that, but like Invicta responded and said, this seems to be the general answer people have been giving me because extraction shooters are intimidating, kind of, you know, further cementing the point like I was saying about my homie, right? Invicta said, I guess my concern is what of the players that never overcome that initial anxiety and just stick to the sponsor kit queue long term, or is that fear entirely unfounded? And I think that's a great question. I definitely think that's a great question. Fallout said, I mean, I guess that is possible, but I can't see it happening a lot. And I kind of agree with that. I feel like even some players who play the heck out of sponsored would eventually get the hunger for going out and running a real kit with stuff they've earned in their sponsored adventures. All I know is that the triple-digit playtime our players are already enjoying the game loop a lot. Marathon needs more folks coming in the door at lower levels, and throwing a sponsored-only playlist into the mix every now and then will probably do a decent job at getting that done, or that's the hope anyway. And yeah, I definitely agree more with Fallout's like follow-up point here. You know, I can't see somebody running sponsored and being successful in sponsored over and over and over again and actually getting some quality weaponry, you know, shields, implants, cores, etc., and just sitting on it in the vault. You know what I'm saying? Like, those individuals, like, they may be fearful of losing their stuff in an actual raid, like outside of the sponsored playlist, but there's going to be a point where they're like, man, dude, I got so much good stuff, man. I'm out. Let's go. You know, let's try Outpost, or let's try regular Dire Marsh, or let's go to Perimeter, whatever, right? Like sooner or later, they're going to spread their wings, and then they're going to realize that when they lose their stuff, they're going to be like, oh shoot, man, but it's not as bad as they thought, right? And then they'll slowly integrate into that respective ecosystem. And the beauty of the whole sponsored playlist is, if you are down bad, or if you had a couple failed runs in succession, man, go ahead and just swap over to the sponsor queue, right? Like, honestly, I think this is a really good solution for free kit players, right? So again, not comparing in any capacity, but when I would play Arc Raiders, I would give myself a 3-run limit. In 3 runs, if I got cooked back to back to back, I'll say, all right, I'm going in with a free kit, man. I'm gonna do a free kit until I come up, and once I come up and make a successful exfil, then I'll go back to using my stuff, right? And that just was a me thing. I'm all about momentum and feeling stuff out and everything, right? And I almost feel like this is a great way to mitigate that, right? It's almost like a better alternative, because we do have free kits, and free kits can go and play on any map they want to, right? But I almost feel like, well, if we can consolidate all the free kits into a respective queue or playlist and rotate the maps every week or every other week, I don't know, whatever works best, shoot, that's cool. Because again, if me and my homies are down bad, we did a couple cryo runs and we got rocked, and now we're like, look, we're kind of licking our wounds, and we just want to come up, have a potential lockdown, be able to get some good stuff going on, you know, we're like do the anomaly event, etc. Then we'll go over to Dire Marsh, or we'll go over to the sponsored playlist, get some reps in, get some good stuff, and be back in the mix in some capacity, right? Or sometimes it's just really good to use to like warm up, you know? I don't want to jump straight in, because right now Marathon doesn't have a training range or nothing. Like, come on, Bungie, what's up? But I don't want to just jump in cold. Like I can go and do aim labs and stuff for 10 minutes to get the body rolling, but that's not like an in-game scenario. If we had a training range, me and my homies would just drop in there, shoot at some targets or shoot at each other if we had the opportunity to. Like that's what we do in Apex. We spend 15 minutes friendly fire on and we just run around and we just shoot. So by the time we get to playing, whether if it's wild card or ranked or whatever, we're live, we're ready to rock and roll, right? Marathon doesn't have that. So I think a good way to kind of mitigate that would be, leaning into that sponsored kit playlist, right? So yeah, it's all interesting to me. It's all very, very, very interesting to me. Again, when I came across this, I was like, huh, yeah, got some wheels turning. I'm gonna shut up now, though. I'm gonna shut up. I don't really have much else to add to this. I would be curious to hear from you all, though. I'm giving the mic over to you all. This is where you all can, comment and do all that great stuff there. Let me know what you all think about this in general. Like, do you play the sponsored Q playlist? And if you do, why do you play it, right? I would love to hear down in the comments below. Do know I may not get to reply to every comment because I've been getting a ton of them and I appreciate that. I love that so much. Like, you all are awesome for really rocking with your boy. Like, it warms my heart truly. But I read every comment. I like comments, I heart comments, and reply to what I can. So again, just let me know your thoughts about this all in an entirety down below in the comments. And until next time, it's been your boy Cray. We are signing out. Procrastination over. It's time for me to go shave my noggin. And I'll catch you all in the next one.